Fables of La Fontaine. The Weasel in the Granary. Once Madame Weasel, slender-waisted, thin, into a granary by a narrow chink, crept, sick and hungry, quick she glided in, to eat her fill, and she was wise, I think, there at her ease, no fear of fees, she gnawed and nibbled, gracious, what a life! The bacon melted in the strife. Plump and rotund she grew, as fat as two. A week was over, spent in clover. But one day, when she'd done, and that not badly, a noise alarmed her sadly. She tried the hole she'd entered, wishing to retreat. 'Twas no such easy feat. Was she mistaken? No. The self-same door, she tried it over and over. Yes, yes, she said, it is the place I know. I passed here but a week ago. A rat who saw her puzzled, slyly spoke. Your pouch was emptier then, before your fast you broke. Empty you came and empty you must quit. I tell you what, I've told a dozen more, but don't perplex the matter, I implore. They differed from you, in some ways, I do admit. Well, there you have it, the Weasel in the Granary. What is this all about? Well, a skinny weasel sneaks into a granary through a small hole. And once inside, it's like getting the keys to the palace. Grain everywhere. So, I've hit the jackpot. What does she do? She eats and eats and eats. And she stays there for a week, and she's just eating grain. And unfortunately, she's getting fat. And then after a week, she hears a noise. The farmer perhaps coming into the granary. So she, all in a panic, she tries to escape. She goes back to the hole, and she can't fit through the hole anymore. She's like, is this the right hole? What happened? And a rat says, yes, it's the same hole. You're just big and fat now. You can't fit through. So you came in empty. If you want to leave, you got to leave empty, which basically means you're going to have to stop eating and starve yourself. And when you get small again, you can get back out. So this is what happens to a lot of people. There's a story, I'm sure it's probably true, of a monkey trap. I believe it was India or somewhere over in that part of the world. How would they trap a monkey? Well, they'd get a big jar with a narrow neck that the monkey could fit his hand in. And then they'd put some rocks in the jar, and then they put some candy, pieces of candy in the jar. So the monkey would look, see through the jar, see the candy, run up, stick his arm in, and then he'd make a fist, grabbing a piece of candy. And this would make his hand bigger, and now his arm is stuck in the jar. And then the hunter would run out and grab the monkey, and the monkey would be too greedy. He wouldn't be able to get his arm out, and the rock was too heavy. He couldn't carry the jar away, and he's stuck with his hand in the jar, and he doesn't have enough sense to let go of the candy and slip his arm out and run away. And that's how they catch monkeys. So that's one thing. So you got to be careful of that. Also, this reminds me of the story of Rocky III. In Rocky III, Rocky's been the champion, I believe, for 3 years. He's defended his title 10 times. And all of a sudden, he has to face Clubber Lang. And Clubber Lang is a hungry fighter, and he's very dangerous. So Mickey, his trainer, says, we're not going to fight, we're going to retire. And, of course, they get into an argument, and Rocky accepts the challenge, and Mickey says, no, I'm not doing it. Why? Because you've become complacent. You're not hungry anymore. You don't train the way you used to. and this guy is hungry, he wants it, and I don't think you can beat him because you don't have the right mindset. You've had it easy for too long, and you've had too much money, and because of that, you're not as dangerous as you once were. So if you're going to fight this guy, do it without me. So, of course, there's a famous saying. It's been attributed to a couple of boxers. I believe it was, I can't remember his name right now, but he basically said, it's hard to get up in the morning and put in the road work when you're sleeping in silk pajamas. And that's the same story. This is the story of Rocky 3, the first half of Rocky 3, or the first act, where he's got the money, he's got the silk pajamas, and no, I'll sleep for another hour, I'll do it later. And that's not how you stay champion. You've got to be hungry. And when Rocky loses, because he's lost the passion, and then Mickey dies, and then when Apollo trains him, Apollo says, look, your problem, and he basically repeats what Mickey said, is look at these young fighters. They're hungry. They have the eye of the tiger. When you look at them, they look like predators. They look like they're going to kill you because they're hungry and they're ready and they want to be a champion. They want what you have. You fight to the top of the castle, king of the hill. Everybody wants to tear you down. If you're the king of the hill, it's hard to stay on top because you've basically achieved your goals. You've gotten what you wanted. And now, what do you do with it? You have no other goal but to carry on. You're resting on your laurels. Resting on your laurels. Back in ancient days of the Olympics, the champions would be crowned with a crown of laurel leaves that signified victory. So if you see old statues or paintings of Olympians and people like that, when they won at the Olympic Games, they'd have the trophy was a crown made from the laurel branches. And that's what resting on your laurels mean. It means your past victories, you're believing that you can still do that. It's like you get your black belt, you're dangerous. You've been training, you have the goal, get your black belt, you're very dangerous. Once you get your black belt, you have no further goal, and you're resting on your laurels. Instead of saying, I'm going for my black belt, now you say you are a black belt, and then you get lazy and maybe I'll train less, maybe I won't work as hard, and I'm still a black belt. And then you end up in a situation where you have to defend yourself and you don't do as well as you thought you would because you've been resting on your laurels. You become lazy, you become complacent. It's the same. You learn to play music. If you don't practice and sharpen your saw, so to speak, once you develop it, maintaining it is easy. You have to put the work in, but if you don't have a goal, it's hard to do that sometimes. It's easy to get lazy, put it off. You get a good job, a cushy job, you let yourself go. This is a criticism a lot of times in marriages. A lot of women particularly get criticized because when they're looking for a husband or when they're getting married, they want them to look their best, they want to stay slim and in shape. They get married, they don't have to worry about that anymore. They put on a lot of weight. This causes problems in the marriage. Next thing you know, they're having marital trouble. And after they get a divorce, then she decides to lose the weight and do it again. Had she lost the weight prior, she could have avoided that. Or had she kept the weight off, she could have avoided that. Now, I'm not beating up on women. Men do something similar probably. Or, you get a good job, you could struggle, strive a bit harder, get a better job or a promotion, but no, you're happy here, rest on your laurels, and leave it at that. So you got to stay hungry, sharpen your saw. If you're going to call yourself a black belt, have the ability to be a black belt. If you're going to take the time to learn an instrument, well, if you decide you've gone as far as you want with the study of the instrument, at least sharpen the saw, at least practice what you know, keep what you know, And oh, you play the piano, and then all of a sudden you're at a Christmas party or something. Everybody's saying, "Oh, why don't you play a few Christmas carols?" And you're like, "Oh, okay," and you sit down and you basically make a fool out of yourself because you haven't maintained, you haven't sharpened the saw, you've become lazy and complacent. In this story, once the farmer shows up, the weasel tries to escape and, of course, can't, doesn't have the skills. Just like Rocky. When Rocky was a tough fighter and he was hungry, he could have done well, but he rested on his laurels, and when Clubber came, he couldn't do it. So that's basically what this story is about. And it's very easy to fall into that trap, like the monkey falling into the monkey trap. So you got to get hungry again. That's what Apollo says. You have to get hungry again. Just like the weasel. If the weasel wants to get out of the hole, she has to starve herself and get hungry again, and then she can slip out the hole again. Or if the monkey wants to get out of the trap, he has to stay hungry. He has to let go of the food, let go of the candy, and then he can slip out. So stay hungry, eye the tiger, and that's basically the story. If you have anything you'd like to add down below, please. Till next time, bye. Love you.